The flames burned furiously as Obi-Wan Kenobi observed the body of Anakin Skywalker at the edge of the lava river. His former Padawan had fallen after a brutal duel where passion and hatred had clouded everything that had once been good in him. The lava was about to reach Anakin, but a fleeting memory of years of brotherhood flashed through Obi-Wan's mind like lightning. Qui-Gon's words before he died resonated within him. He is the chosen one. As Anakin looked at him with yellowish eyes full of hatred, Obi-Wan made a decision that would alter the course of the galaxy. With a gesture of his hand, Obi-Wan concentrated the Force. Anakin's mutilated body began to rise slowly, moving away from the burning edge where the lava threatened to consume him. Young Skywalker, weakened by his wounds and the loss of his limbs, could not resist. His face, contorted by pain and betrayal, soon relaxed as he lost consciousness. Obi-Wan carried him carefully to safe ground, away from the scorching heat. With Anakin safe on the ship, Obi-Wan hurried to find Padme. He found her unconscious, just as Anakin had left her in his fit of rage. Her pulse was weak but steady. Both she and the babies she carried in her womb were still alive. As the ship took off from Mustafar, Obi-Wan established communication with Bail Organa. The Republic had fallen. Emperor Palpatine had declared the birth of the Galactic Empire, and the persecution against the Jedi was in full swing. "Senator Organa, I need your help," said Obi-Wan, his voice broken by exhaustion. "I bring with me Senator Amidala and Skywalker. Both need urgent medical attention far from the reach of the Empire." Bail's response was immediate. "Head to Alderaan, Master Kenobi. We will receive you in secret." During the journey, Obi-Wan kept Anakin in a Force trance to prevent pain from waking him. In his moments of lucidity, he observed the face of his former apprentice and friend, wondering if his decision had been the right one, or if he had just committed the greatest mistake in the galaxy. The royal palace of Alderaan, hidden among the snowy mountains, became a secret refuge. In an isolated medical room, state-of-the-art medical droids worked tirelessly on Anakin Skywalker's shattered body. "The limbs will need to be completely replaced," reported the chief medical droid. "Advanced prosthetics, similar to those he already had on his right arm, but improved." Obi-Wan and Bail observed through the glass as the droids performed their work with meticulous precision. "Are you sure about this, Obi-Wan?" Bail asked quietly. "If there's any chance of bringing him back, I must try," says Obi-Wan. In another room, Padme began to regain consciousness. Her first thought was for Anakin, and her hand instinctively rested on her belly, protecting the babies she carried inside. "Anakin, where is Anakin?" were her first words. Obi-Wan, who had remained by her side, took her hand gently. "He's alive, Padme. He survived. The droids are working to recover him." Tears sprang from Padme's eyes. "Is it true? What you said about him? About what he did?" "Yes," Obi-Wan answered honestly. "But I brought him with me because I believe there may still be hope." The following days were crucial. Anakin's new limbs were masterpieces of Alderaanian technology, designed to feel and move naturally. Obi-Wan met with Yoda. The small Jedi Master had arrived shortly before them. "A grave mistake you may have made," said Yoda. Obi-Wan sat across from him, with the weight of his decisions still fresh in his mind. "I couldn't do it, Master. I couldn't kill Anakin." Yoda opened his eyes, studying Obi-Wan's tired face. "Your apprentice, Skywalker, no longer is. Consumed by Darth Vader, he has been." "With all due respect, Master," Obi-Wan replied with a firm but respectful voice, "I believe there is still goodness in him. I saw something in his eyes, even in the midst of his anger. I couldn't finish the job because I feel he can still be brought back to the light." Yoda let out a sigh laden with the weight of centuries of wisdom. "Dangerous is this path you have chosen. Threaten the future of the galaxy, your feelings for the boy have." "Perhaps," admitted Obi-Wan. "But the attachment I felt wasn't weakness, but compassion. Isn't that what we Jedi have always stood for? Compassion, even for those who have strayed from the path?" "Meditate on this, I must," Yoda finally said. "But attentive you must be. The dark side, deceptive it is." Padme's screams echoed through the corridors of the medical wing. Unlike the original timeline, this time she was surrounded by hope. She knew that Anakin was still alive, being treated, and soon they would be together again. "Come on, Senator," encouraged a medical droid. "The first one is almost here." With one last effort, Padme gave birth to a small boy with blonde hair. "Luke?" she whispered, caressing his tiny cheek as she held him in her arms for a brief moment before contractions for the next baby began. Minutes later, a small girl with dark hair joined her brother in the world. "Leia," said Padme, with tears of joy sliding down her cheeks. Obi-Wan, who had remained close throughout the process, smiled at the scene. This time there was no sadness in Padme's eyes, no surrender to fate. There was determination, strength, and hope. "They are beautiful," commented Obi-Wan, "and strong in the Force, I can sense it." Padme smiled, exhausted but happy. "How is Anakin?" she asked. "Still unconscious but stable. The droids say he will wake up soon," said Obi-Wan. "I want to be there when he does," Padme affirmed with determination. Anakin's eyes shot open, his yellowish gaze scanning the unfamiliar room. Confusion soon gave way to anger when memories of his duel with Obi-Wan flooded his mind. "Kenobi!" he shouted, trying to get up, only to discover his new prosthetics. The shining metal of his renewed limbs contrasted with the soft fabric of the medical gown he wore. A medical droid approached to calm him, but Anakin pushed it away with a violent gesture of the Force, causing the droid to crash against the wall. The door to the room opened softly, and Padme entered, her slender figure wrapped in a simple blue dress. Seeing her, something immediately changed in Anakin's expression. The tension left his body and his eyes fixed on her as if she were a vision. "Padme," murmured Anakin. She approached slowly and took a seat next to his bed, taking his mechanical hand in hers. "I'm here, Ani. We're safe," said Padme. The silence between them was charged with unexpressed emotions, pain and hope intermingled. "I'm sorry," Anakin began, his voice breaking. "I did terrible things. For you, to save you. But I know," Padme responded softly. "I understand why you did it, but you don't have to fear anymore. I'm fine, and we can be together now." Anakin then noticed the absence of her swollen belly. Panic crossed his face. "What happened to our children?" he asked. As if answering his question, the door opened again, and a nursemaid droid entered holding 2 small bundles wrapped in blankets. "They were born 3 days ago," explained Padme, with a radiant smile as she received the twins in her arms. "Meet Luke and Leia." Anakin looked at the babies with absolute amazement. Small, wrinkled faces, curious eyes just beginning to adapt to the world. His children. Not visions of death and loss, but real, tangible life before him. "They're perfect," he murmured, extending a trembling hand to touch Luke's cheek. Something deep broke inside him at that moment. All the anger, all the fear, all the darkness that had consumed him during the past months seemed to dissolve at the sight of his family. Tears began to spring from his eyes as he carefully embraced Padme and his children. And as he cried, the toxic yellow of his irises began to fade away, giving way to the crystalline blue that Padme had known and loved for so many years. The door to the room opened silently, and Obi-Wan Kenobi entered, stopping when he saw the family scene in front of him. His hand instinctively moved toward his lightsaber, a precaution given the uncertainty of how Anakin would react. But when Anakin looked up, there was no hatred in his eyes. There was only remorse, pain, and a glimpse of the light that Obi-Wan had always believed existed within him. "Master," said Anakin, his voice barely audible. Padme, understanding the importance of the moment, took the babies and discreetly retreated to a corner of the room, giving them space. "Anakin," responded Obi-Wan, approaching cautiously. "I'm sorry," said Anakin, tears returning to his eyes. "Everything I did." Obi-Wan sat beside the bed, emotion also visible on his face. "And I'm sorry for not having trusted you, Anakin. I should have seen what you were going through, should have supported you instead of judging you." Obi-Wan responded. "No, Master. The fault is not yours. I chose that path. I let Palpatine manipulate me, feed my fears and my anger," said Anakin. "And I left you in that state on Mustafar," replied Obi-Wan, a tear sliding down his cheek. "I hurt you and almost let you die." Anakin shook his head. "You saved me. From the lava and from myself." The two men looked at each other. Decades of friendship, betrayed trust, and renewed hope passing between them like a silent current. "We have much to talk about, Anakin," Obi-Wan finally said, "and much to make amends for." "I know," nodded Anakin, "and I'm ready to face the consequences of my actions." Days later, when Anakin had recovered enough strength to walk with his new prosthetics, Yoda requested to meet with him and Obi-Wan in the palace gardens, where the serenity of the environment contrasted with the gravity of their conversation. "Skywalker," Yoda began, watching the young Jedi closely, "visions you mentioned to the council time ago. About these visions, talk we must." Anakin nodded, the memory still painful but no longer blinding. "They were about Padme dying in childbirth, Master Yoda. I saw them every night, so real. And Palpatine," continued Yoda. "Knowledge of these visions, had he?" "Yes," admitted Anakin. "I told him about them. It was he who suggested that the dark side might have the power to save her. He told me about Darth Plagueis and his dominion over life and death." Yoda exchanged a significant look with Obi-Wan. "Suspected this? I did. Ancient techniques of the dark side allow the Sith to manipulate the visions of others, instill fear, sow doubt, create false images in the mind." Anakin's eyes opened with surprise and then narrowed with understanding. "Are you saying that Palpatine, that he himself created those visions in my mind?" "Probable it is," nodded Yoda. "A long and patient plan, his was. Decades to gain political power, years to manipulate you." Anakin collapsed onto a stone bench, the magnitude of the manipulation hitting him hard. "All this time, the voices in my head, the dreams, it was all him." "The question now is," interjected Obi-Wan, "what do we do? The Empire is consolidating and the Jedi are being hunted." "We have to act first," said Anakin, a new determination shining in his blue eyes. "I can't undo what I did, but I can try to stop what I helped create." The decision. Anakin stood up, with his new prosthetics responding fluidly to his movements. Determination shone in his eyes. "We must go after Palpatine," he said firmly. "Every day that passes, he accumulates more power. More Jedi die, more systems fall under his control." Yoda observed young Skywalker carefully. There was a renewed fire in him, but it wasn't the furious flame of the dark side, but the burning determination of someone who has seen his mistakes and seeks to redeem them. "Recover completely first, you must," replied Yoda. "Hasty attack, certain failure it will be." Anakin clenched his fists, frustrated but aware of the wisdom in the Jedi Master's words. He nodded slowly. "When recovered you are," continued Yoda. "After Palpatine, we will go. Before more lives, he destroys." Obi-Wan placed a hand on his former apprentice's shoulder. "We'll need all our strength, Anakin. And we'll need a plan." The following weeks were intense for Anakin. His physical recovery progressed rapidly, his new limbs responding better each day under the care of Alderaan's medical droids. But the real battle was fought within. Every night, the memories of what he had done as Darth Vader tormented him. The faces of the young Padawans in the Jedi Temple, the expressions of fear and confusion before his lightsaber ended their lives, the force choking of Padme. Each image woke him covered in cold sweat. Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Padme worked tirelessly to help him. Yoda guided Anakin in deep meditations, teaching him ancestral techniques to face his inner darkness. Obi-Wan trained with him daily, helping him regain his skill with the lightsaber and his connection to the light side of the Force. But it was Padme who most anchored him to the light. Her constant presence, her unwavering love despite everything, and little Luke and Leia, who grew more each day, became the beacon that guided Anakin back to himself. "How can you still love me after everything I did?" he asked her one night, as they watched the twins sleep. Padme took his mechanical hand in hers. "Because I always saw what was in your heart, Ani, even when you yourself forgot it." A month after their arrival in Alderaan, Anakin participated in his first complete training session. Yoda observed from one side of the training yard. "Progressing you are," he commented when Anakin finished the sequence. "Balance, returning to you it is." One quiet afternoon, as Anakin meditated in the gardens, a small, discreet ship landed on a hidden platform of the palace. Bail Organa went out to receive the visitor with urgency and secrecy. Anakin felt a familiar presence in the Force long before seeing her, a presence he had not felt in a long time. "Ahsoka?" he murmured, opening his eyes. Moments later, the young Togruta appeared in the garden, guided by Bail Organa. She stopped short upon seeing her former master. Her expression reflected disbelief, caution, and a spark of hope. "Master," she finally said, her voice barely a whisper. Anakin slowly stood up. "I'm no longer your master, Ahsoka. I don't deserve that title." "I contacted Senator Organa after escaping Order 66, she explained, keeping her distance. "He told me about you, about what happened, about what you did." Anakin lowered his gaze, unable to face his former Padawan's eyes. "It's all true, Ahsoka," said Anakin, ashamed. Ahsoka hesitated for a moment, and then, in a gesture that surprised all present, stepped forward and hugged her former master. "Then I'll help you," she said firmly, "as you helped me so many times." Obi-Wan, who observed the scene from the garden entrance, smiled. With Ahsoka's addition, the group began to develop their strategy to confront Palpatine. They met in a secret chamber under the palace, where holographic maps and plans of the Imperial Senate were displayed before them. "The Emperor rarely appears in public," explained Bail Organa. "He remains in his office in the Senate or in his private quarters in the Imperial Palace. Both places are heavily guarded. We need to lure him to a place where he's vulnerable," said Obi-Wan. Anakin, who had remained silent, finally spoke. "I know his routines, his habits. There are times when he prefers to be alone in his private chamber of the Senate, especially when he meditates." "How can we access it?" asked Ahsoka. Bail Organa deployed a detailed plan. "As a senator, I still have access to certain areas. I can get credentials for a small group, under the pretext of a private audience." "A trap, this seems," intervened Yoda. "Sense our presence, Sidious might. Not if we hide our presence in the Force," suggested Anakin. "You taught me that technique, Master Yoda." "And I know the secret passages of the Senate," added Bail. "Tunnels built centuries ago for emergency evacuations. Most have been forgotten." As they discussed, the plan began to take shape. Bail Organa would request a private audience with the Emperor to discuss the situation in Alderaan. Meanwhile, Yoda, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka would infiltrate through the forgotten passages, converging on the Emperor's private chamber from different directions to corner him. "It won't be easy," warned Obi-Wan. "Sidious is extremely powerful. Together we can defeat him," affirmed Anakin. "I know his techniques, his movements, and this time I'm not alone." This is where the first part ends. Let me know in the comments how you think or how you want this to end. Don't forget to subscribe and see you next time.